she's a commissioner for CSR ITB, and she's going to talk about path to sustainable tourism.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for the invitation. I'm very grateful, and I'm very happy that KTM is finally taking place again. I have been missing India. So yeah, I'm from ITB. I don't know if everybody is familiar with ITB. We say in Berlin is the heart of the travel industry at ITB Berlin. But this heart had been bleeding too for 3 years. We didn't have a real ITB. We only had digital ITBs. But as we all feel, it is so necessary to come together and to network together. So yeah, I'll just give you some figures about ITB, how it was when it happened. We had 100 trade visitors, we had 160,000 square meters, we had more than 10,000 exhibitors, many of them Indian, but it's going to happen again. And it will happen again next year. So keep our fingers crossed that this will happen. Well, what I have done and what we have done at ITB for many years is bringing sustainability and responsibility on the agenda and setting a new imperative in tourism, becoming sustainable. So we always use this huge platform we have to really try to bring sustainability also in mainstream thinking. And this is not easy, as you can imagine. I know that Kerala for many years has been kind of a role model because there are a lot of intelligent minds who have really brought sustainability further. But this is not happening everywhere. So tourism needs intact ecological and social environments to flourish. So we have the obligation to fight for sustainability. As you said before, consumers' appetite and trust for traveling is growing again. We had research in 2021 now from Studienkreis in Germany, and they said that every second German traveler had been going already to emerging destinations, but 15% of them only went to Asia. But this is quite good if they would all come to Asia. But, well, the coming back of long-distance traveling, if ever, is expected to recover until 2025, according to what they say. And especially for Asia, there's a strong growth expected. But as Dr. Veli already said, it will be difficult because especially air travel contributes to CO2 emission, and this is a big problem. So we try to give sustainability wings. We all know that we work together also at ITB with the UNWTO. We have the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. These are wonderful 17 development goals, but everybody asks themselves, they are there, everybody talks about them, but where's the action? What can we really do? Which will be the path to sustainable tourism? You know, sustainability is really a component of competitiveness. Tourism can help to protect nature and communities, and tourism to be measured not by growth, but also by the positive impact on the local population and environment. So we need to carefully check our supply chains and invest in these supply chains. Raise the visibility of the supply chains, because normally we just look at our business, but we don't dive deeper, because it's not so easy to, as we said before, we have to teach also the drivers, everybody who is part of it. And you know that informal workers are a big part of the tourism industry, and they also need to be looked after, especially if we have crises. And we also have to stop cultural erosion. The value and strength of local culture without commercializing the life of the communities is also very important. So, as I said before, no unlimited growth on a limited planet. Entering mainstream tourism and forming a new paradigm, quality, not quantity, is necessary. Climate change threatens 1.2 billion jobs and creates challenges to food security. Disasters like flooding, which we have in Kerala also quite often, landslides, fires, Australia, and this will lead to mass migration. So we all have to understand that a lot of these crises are man-made, and we can do something. And we have to be better prepared for crisis. I think this is a lesson we also have learned after these 2.5 years. So there are new tourism resilience centers all over the world. They were founded by the tourism minister of Jamaica, and they are opening like a lot of dependencies now all over the world because we need to work together. So even though tourism contributes, especially with air travel, to climate change, the travel industry can help to create resilience. It can help to strengthen the communities. So what do we need to do to walk the path of sustainable and responsible tourism? We need a governmental vision, first of all, which includes long-term planning and investment, adaptable to change. I know the Kerala government is committed to this. We need a community involvement and community-driven, loyalty-rooted initiatives. And we also need to protect the legal rights of the communities. This shouldn't be forgotten, And we need destination management instead of destination marketing. So we need to unify all local players in the destination. And we need, of course, private-public partnerships, cross-sector cooperation, including NGOs and academia, research. And there's a no-tolerance policy because it will be too late if we don't do that. So we need inspiring examples and a practical approach because each one of those approaches really counts. It might be small, it might be a little beginning, but it counts, And we need powerful guiding tools, of course, but there are tools already since a long time. The NGO Global Sustainable Tourism Council, and I'm a proud board member of them, they have really, together with UNEP, Rainforest Alliance, and UNWTO, have developed these practical criteria, tools, which you can use as a guidance to make your business more sustainable. Business or your destination. So we also need, I believe in that, independent certification to monitor the success and to help consumers get orientated. I know people always say, well, there's a jungle of certifications. No, but there are certifications which are really meaningful and not greenwashing. So you who are tourism players have to find out who these are and choose them and tell the people that you're doing it. So we have to think local, as you said, but we also have to act global. A global planning approach is very important, and I think that's where also the associations come in. They play an important role. So all approaches to environmental, social, and governance, the so-called ESG, must be holistic and detailed at the same time. It's so important to take a holistic approach, not only look at it from a very small angle. You shouldn't neglect also the many social aspects of tourism and include, everybody speaks about it now, especially in the US, diversity and inclusion. The EI is very important. There are gender equality issues still everywhere, which are part of the whole game, and aspects of racism, which we have to find solutions. So take any human rights risk into consideration. Also those of the informal workers, as we say. Pay the guides well, child protection. This is all part of the whole picture. And vaccine equity, we talked about vaccination, is also a big subject. It was a big subject in the last month. And I don't believe that there can be any equal recovery or a full global recovery without equal chance to vaccination. So we must recognize the concerns and imperatives raised by the current crisis and adjust our approach accordingly. If energy policies right now focus only on security concerns, they are likely to undermine the sustainability agenda. So we need to transition to clean, renewable energy systems, no short-term quick fix solutions, but long-term solutions. And these 250 clean energy targets with the net zero carbon emission, the Glasgow agreement, is not negotiable, because otherwise we will lose the world, we will lose our product if we don't have a planet to live on. So geopolitical constraints form, of course, a very high risk. The war in Ukraine, for instance, now threatens global food security more than anything else. And the diversification of the supply chain, once again, is very important also in the food chain. So we need climate-resistant crops, which brings me to a very good example here in Kerala again. The Climate Resilient and Climate Responsible Destinations Foundation from the Blue Yonder, who are working with ITB since many years as our sustainable tourism consultant, and they say that we can, for instance, repurpose tourism tools and facilities. What means that you have the boats, for instance, for tourism, fun boats, which you can use if something like a flooding happens. You can be ready. You have the boats ready that in times of crisis, you can use them to evacuate people. So we can, this means resilience. If you really find solutions. We have the broccoli rice, which is a very well-known example. I'm telling everybody all over the world by now, because this is really a climate-resistant crop, and it's so good that this has been reinvented, we found here in Kerala, and it has been used in the tourism industry. So also the Chakoti initiative, when the flooding was, giving all those little dolls to everybody in the tourism industry, it helped those women in the flooded areas. Or the Equinet initiatives with the hyper-local weather data collection, which is really monitoring early warnings for the communities. So, yeah, there are a lot of things which we can do. We must recognize the concerns and the imperatives raised by the current crisis, and we have to adjust our approach accordingly. I said that already, yeah. So there are several forums happening all over the world now, and everybody says what we should do, which are the urgent acts, carbon compensation, commit to carbon reduction, prioritize investments to development sustainable tourism, invite communities, accelerate, strengthen local supply chains. It's always the same. But I think what we really have to do is look at ourselves, each one of us, and see what we can do to start to walk the path and walk the talk. There are a lot of solutions already happening, and there are a lot of things which we can come together, brainstorm together, and think, as we said, local, but also think globally. And I believe in it, and I believe that each one of you also believes in it, and Kerala is really of help. If it would be everywhere like in Kerala, it would be easier to do things good. But yeah, let's do it together. Thank you.
Thank you, Rika. I think you said several points which one can about the sustainability of initiatives and sustainable tourism. Probably Kerala should be happy that we have introduced sustainable tourism practices to the responsible tourism policy which have been introduced years back. Basically, the preservation of nature, empowerment of local people, clean energy, and so on. And we started with 4 destinations in Kerala years back. Today we have almost all the destinations, especially 15 destinations, are religiously following these sustainable practices, supporting the local community, moving forward. Probably Kerala is one of the success points is basically practicing the responsible tourism initiative. Thank you very much, Rika. You have said wonderful points. Extremely grateful to you for making such a wonderful presentation.